Hari Om and welcome to all the divine Atmajyotis to today's Bhagavad-Gita Satsang. Let us continue our contemplation based on the fourth chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Jnana Karma Sanyasa Yoga. And we are listening to Sri Prabhuji's Purna Yoga Darshana talks. Based on that, we are contemplating. Today, the focus is on Shloka 4.36 and 4.37 to begin with. So 4.36 states, even those who are considered the most immoral of all the sinners can cross over this ocean of material existence by seating themselves in the boat of divine knowledge. And 3.7 says, as a kindled fire reduces wood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions from material activities. So based on that, these are the questions that we have framed. So in a fundamental analysis, who is a sinner? Who would we want to call as a sinner? What are the characteristics? And how is that, Shri Krishna is simply saying that, one can, in a way, get away by simply knowing the self. And how can the fire of knowledge burn the reactions? So these are some of the questions to guide our contemplation. So let us begin. So who is the Punyatma who wants to begin today's contemplation? Okay, so if I call out a name, it doesn't mean that you're not a Punyatma. You're still the most auspicious Punyatma. So shall we begin with Krishnaji?
Yeah. So the sinner is who is a sinner, and we can sin get away by sin. Sinner is who is but initially begins with like doing the selfish action and getting satisfied, or like doing every action for his or his belongings, who is attached to his body, and what to say, his relative or whoever is bound to touch with that, and doing all selfish actions and those things. It starts with that, but over a period of time, uh, he or she, like, who also realizes this is not the real happiness, and there is something else. Or once he or she gets into a difficult situation, and then who gets a true knowledge about how a being should be, and how one should perform an action. So that's about pure concept. That's a knowledge here, and that's one kind of sinner, and also one who also knows the knowledge and not following those paths, and not trying to follow the true knowledge, the yagna, or not being in yagna bhava, and doing selfless action even after knowing this true knowledge. Those these two also I consider as a sinner, and that's why I'm just having these thoughts in my mind. How can a sinner get away by simply knowing? Is like uh, so far, like till date, like before getting this knowledge, that whatever this been done, it's like it's all gone, and one who is like who's ready and really performing performing any actions by having this knowledge, so can easily get away in the sense that will not, because going forward or after having this knowledge, anyhow, like whoever is performing this, that's not going to create a karmic impressions which is selfish or those things. Instead it will be like true selfless action. So that's why sinner can get away by simply knowing this. I mean, destroying self. So again, this is again linked B and C. So once we perform these actions, we are not being attached to the results and not as being attached to the materialistic world, and performing each and every action with a kind of selfless service in the mind. So, so there won't be any reactions here. So that reactions will be burned in the fire of knowledge. That's how they have referred in this look. The meaning of this loka, fire of knowledge, means any reactions coming out of any actions will not disturb. So having this self knowledge and performing any action is there. So one can easily become. I don't know whether it is easily or not, but one can get away all these sins. So that's how I interpreted and understood. So one should have this knowledge and perform yajna. So that's why I want to end.
Wonderful, Ji. So, by performing actions in the Yajna Bhava, one can be free from the reactions, is what you are saying.
Yeah.
But what happens to all the sins that have been committed? So, how would you define a sin?
So sin is again like the past sin is which is quite selfish, and also the so earlier, like whatever I'm going to do, which is selfish, that is also there in my. That's a upcoming things which used to be there, and there are also past impressions which I have. So like reaction to a particular situation, and I used to do specific things for specific set of people, or by natural I will get attract for this situation, those kind of. So so those also can be those things are also called sins. But since we already understood this knowledge, so even older things, whatever that comes up, right? With this knowledge, like we would be like clearly disengaged what should be done and how should be done. So hence, so there would be what to say, there would be no bad impressions coming up, even with the old or new actions, because we would be able to disengage between those things.
That's how you see it, Ji. Very
Yeah,
well. Thank you very much, Krishna
thank
Ji.
you.
Hari Om Asha Ji.
Hari Om Vijay ji. Hari Om everyone.
So, as you can see, we are contemplating on this question number 20, which is based on the shloka 4.36 and 4.37, where Krishna says that by knowing the truth, even the greatest sinner can cross over. Okay, so that's what the two shlokas said. So even the ones who are considered the most immoral can cross over this ocean of material existence by sitting in the boat of divine knowledge. And as the fire reduces the wood to ashes, the fire of knowledge burns to ashes all reactions. So that is what Krishna has said. Based on that, these are the three questions that we have framed. Who is, in your view, a sinner? And how do you think a sinner can actually get away by simply knowing the so-called truth? And how can the fire of knowledge burn reactions? That is what we are contemplating, Ji. And you just now heard Krishna Ji. Would you like
Yeah.
to share your viewpoints?
Yes, ji. So who is coming to first question? Who is a sinner? Okay. Sinner is like when we take this human form, basically when we are in that state of child, we are in that pure the consciousness is in its pure state. But going forward, as the child grows, I mean, day by day with the environment and also with the conditions that is happening and whatever we are learning. So maybe we get to, with the influence of the with the influence, we get to know good and bad things. But over a period of time, when when things like I mean, this Harishad Varga we say, right? This Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matsara. So everything we accumulate. And then knowingly, when we are causing something bad against Dharma, when we are doing some things, so maybe we can call it as a sin. So one who is performing this action intentionally with the intention of causing something bad to happen can be termed as a sin, and a person who is performing this can be termed as a sinner. And coming to next question, how can a sinner get away by simply knowing the self? Yes. Okay. Uh, um, in order to get away, like we have been known that prayaschitta, right? So prayaschitta is the only way to get away from this sins, whatever we have performed. And to get away from this sins, first we have to know like what is right and what is wrong exactly. Uh, in the real sense, there is nothing called as right and wrong. But having said that, uh, before judging what is right and wrong, if we understand the nature of our true self, so with that knowledge, um, I think we get a clarity of like what is to be done and what is not to be done. So in that way, knowing about the self, the nature of the self, and who am I, may help us to get away from this sins. And third question, how can fire of knowledge burn reactions? Yes, I think there are many ways to get away from this sins. That is like japa, that is the bhakti marga, bhakti yoga. With bhakti yoga, what happens is like to bring this mind or to empty this mind or to be in the present. What we do is we chant few shlokas or we do some japa or we do a idol worship or we perform few rituals. Why we are doing that is to for that chitta shuddhi to happen or to be in that present. When we are in that present concentrating, that is when we are doing anything mindfully. So it is that when the time we are out of other thinking, like any other thinking is kept away and we are in the present. So that is when the mind is in its true state, that is the purest state. For that, I think when we are following it in bhakti marga, it is time bound. Like only when we are performing those actions, we are in that state and we are able to be in that pure form of state. But again, coming out of that, like once we are out of once we have completed that japa and then we are in the other we are in our day to day life, we are performing other actions, we tend to forget. I mean, we are not in that constant remembrance state. Again, we come into this samsara and then maybe like 1 or 2 days or maybe over period of time, again the same vritti, right, whatever is there in our chitta, again it falls back and again we are in the same state. So in that way, bhakti marga also, it is limited is what I feel. Like only as long as we are performing that kind of action, we are able to retain our purest form, our true state. Whereas next we have our karma yoga. So karma is like performing whatever our day-to-day action also. It is not so very easy like to be in that state. So karma in the sense like whatever actions we are performing, we have to perform it as Ishvara. We have to perform in the state that it is not that we are doing it for ourselves, but as a whatever we are doing without the doership and also the whatever the end result, to perform it in the bhava of Ishvara Arpana. Not all times we'll be able to do that also. So in that way, karma yoga also it is little difficult. And then next is there is one more path, that is dhyana yoga. In dhyana yoga, again we have to go to that purest state is like meditation can help. For meditation to help again, we have to be free out of our thoughts. Though the nature of the state of mind is to keep thinking and that thoughts keep coming, again with some discipline and uh, with some I mean like practice, it is possible through dhyana yoga also to get into that state of mind, pure state of mind. But that also again comes with practice. It is not just like that it happens, but with over a period of time with constant practice, dhyana yoga also can liberate us. But what I feel is this Jnana Marga, that is fire of knowledge. So once this knowledge transfers to real wisdom, and when that lights that fire of thinking in us, like what exactly we are doing, why we are doing, and what is the result of our um, actions. When we get to know this knowledge, uh, and then it burns our reactions and uh, I mean transforming that reactions to like actions. So for that, if I can say with an example, so sometimes like many thoughts keep bothering us, like what is right, what is wrong, and then sometimes even our own thought bother us. So to be free from all this, it is only this knowledge, like the perfect knowledge or the perfect wisdom, can liberate us. So sometimes, for example, when we say we are suffering, so it is our own thoughts. Because of our own thoughts, we are suffering. It is not just because of the we sometimes feel that it is because of our environment or the persons around us. We are it is the cause of our suffering. But unless until um, unless until we are bothered by it, or our thoughts are bothering us, uh, uh, it is also very easy to be at peace and without suffering. So only like for example, we know that the fastest runner is Usain Bolt. So like we know that he runs very fast, but unless until we contend with him, and when we are not running him with along with him, even it is not possible for Usain Bolt to just keep us away. I mean, like to defeat us. So, in that way, this fire of knowledge is the only thing I feel which can help us, I mean, get away to or keep us away from this reaction. This is what I feel, Vijay.
So, the summary of what I heard, sin is when someone is doing actions without the Yajna Bhava. Is that the first thing that I heard?
Yes, Ji. Yes, Ji.
Okay. And then you also elaborated on different paths of coming out of this. You elaborated on the karma marga, bhakti marga, dhyana marga, and ultimately you gave the example of the Jnana. The same question I put to Krishna ji would like to raise to you also. So what happens to all the past actions, past sins?
Okay. Like whatever is gathered, is it? I mean, in the earlier, if we have done some sins.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah. When this realization comes truly, I think that also slowly, when we are in this path, I mean, that also get cleansed.
How do you think it happens? So will it just simply disappear or what happens? What do you mean
Uh,
by cleansing?
Cleansing is like, say, suppose we have gathered some dirt, right? So, in order to cleanse the dirt, we have to perform the cleaning action.
Hmm.
Cleaning action is to be performed. So, and that also doesn't happen like instinctive. I mean, it doesn't happen just like that. For that to happen, I mean, this cleansing is what I said, right? Slowly, we have to clean. For that cleaning procedure, when we get the right knowledge, and with that right knowledge, when we start slowly cleaning, even that sins, whatever we have accumulated, also with the jnana, even that karma, jnanani dagda karmani. So even that karma also will get burnt, is what I have understood. Ji.
Okay. So what you are saying is, over a period of time, it gets cleansed, is the answer that you are coming up with.
Yes.
So which means that there is no getting away from the reactions.
Mm. Getting away from the reactions is like, I mean, over a period of time, even reactions also can turn to just right action. It need not be a reaction. It can just get converted to right action. Right action is like to know like when to act and when to not, instead of reaction. Reaction is instinct.
Yeah, that is as far as how you choose to act. But what I meant by
Mm,
reaction is, so whatever the past sin, so that is going to
mm.
come and affect. That is going to come and let's say create a modification on you, right?
Uh,
So is there a way
yes,
of getting
and
away from that? There is no way.
yeah, yeah. No, the only way is like going through it, Ji. There is no such thing like, I mean, yeah, we'll be away from it. We have to just go through it, like whatever comes. So the problem is like, as we know, Buddha said desire is the root cause of misery, but desire is not the root cause of misery. That the expectation what we are feeling, right, only good things should happen, or I mean good karma or bad karma. So this expectation what we have in our mind, right, that this has to happen this way, and it has to happen only good has to come our way. So only just because of that is our suffering. When we start taking good and bad in the same way, like as a stita prajna, I mean, everything follows. Good is followed by bad, and bad is followed by good. When we know this, and when we are in that state to take, irrespective of good and bad, when we are in such a state to take both without much of judgment. So, I mean, nothing should bother us, Ji.
So you are saying there is no getting away, but it is only a change in how you accept the situation. Is that what I'm hearing?
Change in what I accept. And first thing is like whatever is coming through our way. The first and foremost thing is like first we need to have the acceptance. So just because without acceptance is why we are suffering, because we don't want that to happen with us, and that resistance is always there with us. So just with that resistance is when we are undergoing, we feel that even though it is not suffering, with that resistance we feel it is what suffering. But when it comes to acceptance, though it might be a suffering, we may not feel it as suffering. So what I mean to say is, first we have to accept and then analyze it, and then perform the right action. So following this, I think so, like irrespective of like whatever I said, right? It might be a bad, even with the karma also. If it is like good karma, we feel very happy, and bad karma, we are not feeling good. If that is not the state with us, and we are accepting everything in a similar state of mind, so I think so that doesn't make much difference. And in that way, it doesn't bother us also. We might not react. That is the only way that is possible with the right knowledge. And when we get this right knowledge, we are not so much, disturbed or perturbed by whatever is happening, because we are seeing both in the same way. This is possible with this knowledge, right knowledge.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ashaji.
Ji, you have anything to add, Ji,
No,
to
you
correct?
summarized it really well, and um, in terms of what is the what can be our day-to-day focus. Also, you have really brought it out well. As we listen to the
Hari.
others, if there are any questions, definitely let us discuss.
Okay. Hari Om.
Thank you, Ji. Smita Ji, would you like to share your viewpoints?
So, who is a sinner? How can a sinner get away by simply knowing the self? How can fire of knowledge burn reactions? The way I read this question is the answer to the first question is in the second question. The sinner is the one who doesn't know the self, right? So, everybody, according to me, is a sinner. If we have not realized the self, we are a sinner. So, how does one get away from it, or how does it fire of knowledge burn that reaction? Like a child, playing on the playground will put sand in the mouth, or spill water, or doing something. Once that realization has come, it will stop doing it. And neither nobody, or like, as a mother, I will not go and admonish the child, "Nee chikko niddang hing ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ," or you have you don't punish the child for something that it had done unknowingly, right? So that way, Shri Krishna, who's the Supreme Father, he will not punish his children, saying that oh, you did something without when you were a sinner, or when you did not have the self. So that that I won't say kind of evaporates what you have done without the knowing. You have done it. Of course, there are the worldly laws of the sin that you are doing, which is the world's way of working. You can't steal money and say, okay, now I have known the self, so Sri Krishna is forgiving me. That forgiveness is there. There is the rules of the nature and rules of the law of the land that applies to the human body, to the human structure, to the societal structure that is there. That is different. But here, it is more referring to from a self perspective. As a if no, if we the way it is where we, and even for that there is a time period, right? After that you have to let go. After that, even by the law also, this is all. There is a time bound, and you are left unless it's a really grave sin. You are left. So similarly, by knowing the self, you are already got away from that. So that form of what you did as a child is no longer there. You don't curse yourself. Oh, and chikkonidag man tinta ide, and you don't keep thinking about it. It does not even come to your mind. It evaporates. That gets away. So it goes away from there. Similarly, once you have come to that state of knowing the self, you are those sins also go away, or it's negated. It's no longer there with you. And by the fire of knowledge, again, it is not by one instance or like a small, but it's a constant learning. So by that continuous glowing fire of knowledge, all these sins or these reactions that have happened in the past, which without knowing who I am and the way of living my life here, be it by what even Asha ji and Krishna ji said, bhakti, karma, yoga, whichever way we are operating, that is a continuous fire. So it is like burning as long as we are with us. So that continues to burn the reactions that you perform, if you are in that state of mind.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Smitaji.
Thank you.
Padma Amma.
ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ತಾನು ದಿನನಿತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಕರ್ತೃ, ನಾನು ಜ್ಞಾತ, ನಾನು ಭೋಕ್ತ ಅನ್ನುವ ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಆ ಕರ್ಮದ ಫಲ ಸಹ ನಾನೇ ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನುವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಕರ್ಮ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಯಾರು ಇರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅದರ ಕರ್ಮ ಫಲ ನಾನು ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ತಿಲೂ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಫಲವೇ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಪಾಪ ಫಲವೂ ಸಿಗ್ಬಹುದು. ಆವಾಗ ಅವನು ಕಷ್ಟ, ಸುಖ, ದುಃಖ ಹೀಗೆ ಅನುಭವಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದಾಗ ಈ ಕರ್ಮ ಫಲ ಏನು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ವಾಸನೆಗಳಾಗಿ, ವಾಸನಾ ಬೀಜಗಳಾಗಿ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಆಗಿ ತನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಬೀಜಗಳು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಅವು ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೊಳಕೆ ಹೊಡೆಯುತ್ತವೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೊಳಕೆ ಹೊಡೆದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕರ್ಮ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೇರೇಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆಗ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವನು ಸುಖ ದುಃಖಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳಗಾಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಆ ಸುಖ ದುಃಖಗಳ ಈ ಚಕ್ರದಿಂದ ಅವನು ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಹೊಂದೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಬಂಧನಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣವಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ ನಾನು ಕರ್ತೃ, ನಾನು ಜ್ಞಾತ, ನಾನು ಭೋಕ್ತ ಅನ್ನುವ ಈ ಒಂದು ಅಜ್ಞಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ನಾನೇ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಸಹ ನನ್ನಿಂದನೇ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಈ ಫಲವೂ ಸಹ ನಾನೇ ಅನುಭವಿಸೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬರೀ ಅಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಗುರುಮುಖೇನ ಅವನು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಗಳಿಂದ ನಾನು ಯಾರೋ, ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನಾನು ಯಾರೋ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ. ನಾನು ಆತ್ಮ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಕರ್ಮವೆಲ್ಲ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರೋದು ಈ ಜಗತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಬೆಸಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಖಂಡಿತ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಮೂಲಕ ಈ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ನಡೀತಾ ಇವೆ. ಈ ಫಲವೂ ಸಹ ನನಗೆ ಸೇರಿದ್ದಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಏನಿದ್ರು ಈಶ್ವರಾರ್ಪಿತ ಭಾವದಿಂದ ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಏನು, ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಕರ್ಮ ಫಲ ಅವನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಕರ್ಮ ಫಲ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲ್ವ ಅವಾಗ ವಾಸನ ಬೀಜಗಳು ಸಹ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರೋದು. ನಾನು ಕರ್ತೃ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಜ್ಞಾತನೂ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಭೋಕ್ತನೂ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವ ಕರ್ಮ ಫಲಗಳು ನನಗೆ ಸೇರಿದ್ದು ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವುದು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟತೆ ಗುರುಮುಖೇನ, ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಗಳ ಮುಖೇನ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಸಂಶಯವಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಅದು ಬೇರೂರಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಹೀಗಿರುವಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಹಿಂದೆ ಮಾಡಿದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸಂಚಿತ ಕರ್ಮ ಆಗ್ಲಿ, ಈಗ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಕರ್ಮ ಆಗ್ಲಿ, ಈಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಆಗಾಮಿ ಕರ್ಮ, ಈಗ ಕ್ರಿಯಮಾಣಿ ಕರ್ಮ ಅದು ಆಗಾಮಿಯಾಗಿ ಬರುವಂತಹದ್ದು ಯಾವ್ದು ಕರ್ಮ ಅವನು ನನ್ನದಲ್ವೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುವಂತಹದ್ದು, ನಾನು ಬರೀ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟತೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವನು ಸೇವಾ ಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಅವನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಅವನು ಒಂದು ಜಗದ್ಹಿತಾಯಚ ಅನ್ನುವ ಒಂದು ಉಕ್ತಿಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವನು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. ಏಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟತೆ ಬಂದಿರತ್ತೆ, ನನಗೆ ಈ ಕರ್ಮಗಳು ಯಾವುದು ಅಂಟುಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟತೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಸಹ ಯಾವ ಕರ್ಮಗಳು ನನಗೆ ಅಂಟಿಲ್ಲ. ಹೇಗೆ ಒಂದೇ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಕತ್ತಲಿರ್ಲಿ, ಒಂದು ಕಿಡಿ ಬೆಳಕು ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಆ ಕತ್ತಲನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಓಡಿಸುತ್ತೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಈ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಾನು ಕರ್ತ ಭೋಕ್ತ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಬಂದಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಂಚಿತ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಆಗಾಮಿ ಕರ್ಮಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಟ್ಟು ಭಸ್ಮವಾಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕಟ್ಟಿಗೆಯ ರಾಶಿ ಇರ್ಲಿ, ಒಂದು ಕಿಡಿ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಹಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಕ್ರಮೇಣ ಎಲ್ಲ ಈ ರಾಶಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಕಟ್ಟಿಗೆಯನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಸುಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೋ ಆ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಜ್ಞಾನಾಗ್ನಿ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಸುಟ್ಟು ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಕರ್ಮವೂ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ನ ಅರ್ಥ.
ಅದ್ಭುತ ಅಮ್ಮ, ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. ಇದ್ರದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಪುಟ್ಟ ಒಂದು ಹಾಡು ಬರೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಸರ್ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ.
ಖಂಡಿತ ಹೇಳಿ.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹಚ್ಚು ಜ್ಞಾನಾಗ್ನಿ ಭಸ್ಮವಾಗುವವೆಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ಮ, ಸಂಚಿತ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಆಗಾಮಿ, ಸಂಚಿತ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಆಗಾಮಿ. ಬೀಜ ಒಡೆದು ಮೊಳಕೆ, ಮೊಳಕೆ ಚಿಗುರಿ ವೃಕ್ಷ, ವೃಕ್ಷದಿಂದ ಬಂತು ಫಲ, ಫಲದೊಳಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೀಜ, ಫಲದೊಳಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೀಜ. ಬೀಜ ವೃಕ್ಷ ಬೀಜ ಚಕ್ರ, ಜಗದೊಳಗೆ ಇರುವ ಕರ್ಮ ಚಕ್ರ, ತಿರುಗುತ್ತಿಹುದು ಈ ಬಂಧ ಚಕ್ರ. ಗಗನಕ್ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಪಾತಾಳಕ್ಕಿನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ, ಗಗನಕ್ಕೊಮ್ಮೆ ಪಾತಾಳಕ್ಕಿನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ. ತಿರುಗಿ ತಿರುಗಿ ನಲುಗಿ ನಲುಗಿ ಸಂಚಿತವಾಯಿತು ಕರ್ಮ ಕಣಜ. ಈಗ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಮುಂದೆ ಆಗಾಮಿ, ಈಗ ಪ್ರಾರಬ್ಧ ಮುಂದೆ ಆಗಾಮಿ. ಚಕ್ರವ್ಯೂಹದಿಂದ ಎಂದು ಮುಕ್ತ ಚಕ್ರವ್ಯೂಹದಿಂದ ಎಂದು ಮುಕ್ತ ಹಚ್ಚುವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಕಿಚ್ಚ ಹಚ್ಚುವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಕಿಚ್ಚ ದಹಿಸಿ ಹೋಗುವವೆಲ್ಲ ಬೀಜ ವೃಕ್ಷ ದಹಿಸಿ ಹೋಗುವವೆಲ್ಲ ಬೀಜ ವೃಕ್ಷ ಜಗಕ್ಕೆ ಸೀಮಿತ ಕರ್ಮಕಾಂಡ ಜಗಕ್ಕೆ ಸೀಮಿತ ಕರ್ಮಕಾಂಡ ನೀ ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ನೀ ಸಚ್ಚಿದಾನಂದ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಏಳು ಏಳು ಮೇಲೇಳೇಳು ಕರ್ಮಯೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗು ನಿನ್ನ ವಶವಾಗುವವಲ್ಲ ಪುರುಷಾರ್ಥ ಪುರುಷಾರ್ಥ ಏಳು ಏಳು ಮೇಲೇಳು ಕರ್ಮಯೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂದಾಗು ನಿನ್ನ ವಶವಾಗುವವೆಲ್ಲ ಪುರುಷಾರ್ಥ ಪುರುಷಾರ್ಥ. ಹರಿ ಓಂ.
ಅದ್ಭುತ ಅಮ್ಮ, ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ.
ಕನ್ನಡ ಯಾರಿಗ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತ ಯಾರಿಗ್ ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇ ಬರೋದಂತ.
ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಬರದೇ ಇರೋವರೆಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೃದಯದ ಭಾಷೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡತ್ತೆ ಬಿಡಿ. ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ ಪದ್ಮಾಜಿ?
ಎಸ್ ಎಸ್ ಹೌದು
ನೋಡಿ
ಸರ್.
ನೋಡಿ,
ವೆರಿ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಪದ್ಮಾಜಿ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್
ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಯು ಗಿವನ್ ದ ಅನಾಲಜಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಚಕ್ರವ್ಯೂಹ. when so there's Abhimanyu and there is an Arjuna. Abhimanyu knows how to get inside but doesn't know how to get outside. So the one who can get inside but doesn't know how to get outside becomes a sinner. Wonderful, very nice. Thank you, ma. Padma, Padmaji, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think each one of the satsangis have put the point so beautifully. I will just add a few things to that. So I resonate with what Smitaji said, that anyone who doesn't know the self, doesn't have the knowledge of the self, is a sinner from the context of how we live in this material world. So when we live like that, in ignorance, in complete ignorance of self, that is what causes bondage. And when you are living in that ignorance in this material world, it is like trying to swim in an ocean. So no matter what kind of an expert you are, it is not easy to swim in the ocean. It is a struggle. It is a struggle. Even if you are along with the waves or against the waves, it is still a struggle to swim in the ocean. So, but however, even if a boat is very small, if you have a boat in that ocean on which you are trying to cross the ocean or float on the ocean, it is relatively easy. And this boat is what is that jnana, I feel. So when we have the knowledge of the self, that time it is not a struggle anymore. Why it is not a struggle anymore? Because then we function in a different perspective. We function with a different perspective. And the relation of who we are, and then when we know who we are, there is a relationship established between the Atma and the Paramatma, and also what is this world, that also we come to understand. So when we have the understanding of all these three, and then a further understanding that all these three are one and the same, then whatever action we perform, it is from the perspective of Jagat Hitaya. It is not just to gain something for me and mine. It is also for the everyone, betterment of everyone else. So that elevates the action itself. So then there is no reaction after that. There is only response to any action. There is no reaction. So that is what is the right way to perform the action. The next question: how can the fire of knowledge burn the reactions? So, like everyone else shared, doesn't mean that we perform any action and then once we know the self, it will all evaporate or it will all disappear. Of course, the I think the best example will be of Ratnakara. So he did so many things before, and he did it in ignorance. He did it that I have to do it for me and mine, his family. That is why he was doing all those things. But the moment he understood that this family is not going to stand by me for whatever actions I did. They are not going to take part in the consequences of those actions. They are only taking the fruits, the best part of what I did. So then he comes to a realization, and then he transforms into someone uh, who is revered even till now after thousands and thousands of years. So that is what the knowledge of self can give you. That is what the knowledge can lead you to. So with that understanding, if we try to know who we are, then I think the fire of that knowledge is what is burning the reactions. So whatever we have done in the past, of course all those are there as prarabdha, and we have known all the great masters also go through this. We are not the first one to go through this. The understanding that somebody such a great saints like Ramana Maharishi or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, they also had to go through all these things. But there is a deeper understanding with them that this is not happening to me. This is happening to this body, which is anyway bound to decay. Even if I didn't have a disease, it's not like this body is going to be immortal. It is going to depreciate. It is going to uh, uh, rot and go away one day. But the eternal me within is not affected by all this. When you have this understanding, then you truly become that Mahatma, that whoever they were, and they who are the inspiration for people like us who are trying to seek the same. So that is how I understand, sir. Thank you.
Very nice, Padmaji. Wonderfully put. So, like all of you said, when I do with the thinking and the feeling that I am the body, I am the mind, and I am the intellect. So we chant, right? I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. But the reverse of it or the converse of it, when I think I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, and whenever I do, whatever I do, I develop whatever the affinity or hatred towards the outcome of such action. At the end of the day, what is a sin? Sin is essentially I have done something and something has come out of it, and towards that, I or you have developed what can be called as a guilt consciousness. Guilty. I feel very guilty. I shouldn't have done it that way. So that is essentially what it turns out to be. There is a nice little joke that I know from Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev ji. So there are these two very naughty children. They're always up to some or the other prank. And their mother is really sick and tired. She has tried all her ways and she's at the wit's end. So she goes to the father in the church and he decides, I will help them. Don't worry. So what he decides to do is, these two children are always together. So first idea that comes to his mind is, okay, let me call each one and then inquire, and I'll put some sense into them. So he calls the first one, and the second one is sitting outside. And they're for the first time here in this room, and this father is a very imposing figure. He's very tall, broad, and he has a very booming voice. So he asks this child, do you know where is God? And this little child, his eyes become very wide, and his face becomes very pale. Suddenly he stands up and runs to the door and goes outside and tells his brother, come, 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 let's run away. Looks like God is missing, and people think that it is you and I once again. So that is how you and I get caught up in guilt consciousness. Something that is happening when you and I claim the ownership, you and I get into this guilt consciousness. Shouldn't have done. Oh, why did I do it this way? From where it is stemming? It is stemming from a lack of understanding of who is this who's claiming the ownership, which all of you already explained so beautifully in different ways. So my own sense of who I think I am, and I am the doer, has made me accept the outcome. And sometimes I like the outcome, no problem. But sometimes when I don't like the outcome, I either develop hatred or guilt about what has happened. It is like we know so many stories. So I know one personal story where there was this child, and this child, when she was very young, one of her relative had taken her up to play with the child, and accidentally the child had fallen from that relative's hand, and the child had a severe impact, and because of that, one of her hand had become like this, kind of like very crooked, and a very little movement. Not only that, because of all that injury and all the other treatments, a lot of other fear factors and various other psychological impacts had happened to that child. So the child used to be very, very nervous in a small gathering, and this particular child, we came to know when we were doing what we call as a Power Within program for children. And that child was among other children. And during that program, we would ask several, there would be several activities and several questions. And this child would always hesitate to participate, would feel very nervous, very often feel short of breath, want to really run outside. So all these had come. And there are many situations and activities and truths that we discuss in the session. But the most fundamental approach to overcome any of this is like how already many of you said, which Ashaji put more light on, acceptance. See, right now, in this very moment, as you and I are sitting here and having this contemplation, there are so many activities going on in and around you and me. There may be some animals, birds, or machines, or people. All of them are engaged in different activities. Just for a moment, as if You're simply noticing. If you notice, not only the so-called outside, even in your body, lot of activities are happening. So many changes are happening. If you simply notice. So at this very moment, so many changes are under progress. Right now, as these changes are happening, the only reason why I would have a problem with the change that is happening is if I have a thinking about why this change is happening. This change should not be happening this way. Simple example. As you're listening, maybe someone outside has turned on some TV or something else, and maybe some sound has started coming in. If you and I take offense to that sound, if I get into a thinking, why don't they know that I'm sitting here and doing all this contemplation? Why have they turned it on? Or something like that. When you and I create a mental resistance to the change that is happening, is when you and I get into a feeling of hatred or guilt or any such reactions that can come out of that reaction that I created, I generated. So, simply accepting whatever that is happening right now as is. Sakshi Bhava, a witness consciousness. Whatever is happening right now, please notice, is there any change right now that can be brought? It is already under progress. Or whatever that has happened, is there any way it could be modified? It is already water under the bridge. These are the only two things. So whatever has happened has happened. Whatever is happening is happening. And whatever is happening is what will constitute whatever will happen. So in a way, where is the need to have any resistance? So this fundamental realization made that child in that class stand up on the last day and say that now I am willing to forgive my relative who dropped me and because of whom I'm like this. So please see, all these years, that child was carrying that relative in the mind and constantly having a conversation and accusing. And because of that, the child had developed all these other secondary symptoms. So, learning to forgive someone who may have caused a harm, and then learning to forgive your own past actions are the two most fundamental steps that you and I can take in life to realize the self. These are the fundamental blocks. Just knowing the truth that you are that eternal self, you are that divine, is not going to help. Because the mind is a collection of various impressions from the past. And those impressions, when they bubble up in terms of various situations of life. And in that situation is where you and I have to establish that peace within. Because it is not establishing the peace by listening to the truth. You cannot get established in the truth by listening to the truth. You can realize the truth, but to get established in the truth, it is in the context of day-to-day situations, in the day-to-day various thoughts that emerge, various kinds of feelings of maybe guilt or hatred that I myself may have built up within me. So I have to first and foremost forgive. Forgive the one who may have caused any harm. Forgive whatever previous action I myself may have done. That is the real prayaschitta. Prayaschitta means what? Is to accept, in the most fundamental sense, to accept. If I accept the sound that is coming at me at this moment, then there is no mental resistance. If I accept the one who is in front of me the way they are, then there is no mental resistance. Does not necessarily mean that I let it the way it is. No, it means very consciously I accept, very consciously I ask myself, is there a need to modify anything in the situation? Very consciously I see what is the action I can take. Sometimes it may be outside of my ability to take any action. Then I accept the inability to take action. So, like that, when I and you learn to act very consciously, meaning what? Knowing fully well that I am not the doer. However, in this given situation, what is the right action through which a harmonious effect can be brought about towards that if my impulses. That is what Padma Amma referred as the service. Jagadhitayacha. So I have been given an opportunity to be of some value in any given situation of life. You and I are given millions of opportunities. Every situation of life is an opportunity. In this opportunity, what do I want to bring out? That's the opportunity. That's the true seva. So in that situation, when I function with a jagaditayacha, that let there be harmony in this situation. And what is that I can do to establish that harmony? So as I continue to focus on forgiving others, forgiving my own past, in focusing on what is the right action in this situation, accepting whatever that is happening in the way it is happening, having no mental resistance, is the real boat. And that is the process to get established in the self. You are already that self. You are already that divine. You have that divine power. However, it is in the day-to-day situations that the divinity has to shine. Fire. How do you know fire is there? Only when it burns. Only when it is burning. So it needs the material to burn. Without any material, there is no fire. So your situations of life are that material. And to see your own divine fire, to see your own light, you need the situation material. And in that, as you get established, you can see that bright light of self. Hari Om. Does anyone have any questions? Or are there any additional points? Okay. So if there are no further questions or no other points, let us end our contemplation here. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.